What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. He's over there being immature tonight like he always is. So we'll just leave it at that. Jacob, can we be professional for one night, sir? Just one.
Seriously. Yes. Yep. We're going to do it. We're it's great to be here, you guys, live. We're going to talk football, nothing but football. I'm here. I'm happy. It was a great day with weather today, wasn't it, Clayton? Back to you.
Actually, it wasn't, man. Y'all got some storms rolling through Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, in all seriousness, we had a tornado touchdown. So blessings to everyone in New Richmond that didn't get hurt by it.
Stay safe out there, for sure. Yeah. Emilio, sir.
Unbelievable. I didn't expect Jacob to start us off with a tornado touchdown. But, yeah, no, we just had overcast here and got through the week, the long week.
Yes, it was. It was a very long week, Emilio. So, as you guys are probably aware, we're in the mid-80s down here in Tennessee, and it is muggy outside. And anybody who's in landscaping, let me tell you, this week was not a good week. We just you just hold on tight. Once you get rained out Monday, it's all right, boys. We ain't seeing our family the rest of the week. Let's just hang on here, okay? So that's the way it works. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate it, y'all, making us a part of your evening here as we get set to talk a little Packers. Listen, we're pretty deep into the offseason. We're going to try to hit on, top news, things like that kind of, kind of stay in that vein of, all right, is anything breaking loose in terms of the roster, in terms of all these storylines? We got like 4 or 5 storylines going on with specific players. We'll talk a little bit about Jayden Reed tonight. We got, I don't want to say an update, but Matt LaFleur actually spoke on the situation, which I think is huge. We'll also talk a little 2026 salary cap. And the reason we're doing that right now, guys, as we said all along, call it Packers Total Access, because we want to try to bring you what's the team looking at right now? What's the team thinking about? And the next step in Goody's process, I get to the draft and go, okay, how's the first round look as it sits right now? That's what Goody and them are already scouting. They're already on this. So anybody goes, I don't want to hear about the draft. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but we're going to stay in tune with what are they looking at currently. We'll hit that. We'll also talk about a significant rule change that may be coming to the NFL. Before we dive into it, I like to open the floor up. I know I already asked Emilio. He doesn't really have anything. Maybe he wants to hit on what we had talked about earlier. I don't know. But, Jacob, do you have anything you want to touch on here before we dive into some of the info I've got teed up, man?
I think I saw it. What do you think about the Brock Purdy contract? Everybody kind of scoffed when Jordan Love was up to get his contract, saying that's way overpay. I think if I'm skimming off the top of my head, wasn't it a 5-year, like 265 or something like that? I didn't see if it was guaranteed, but it's just the fact of the matter is when it comes time to pay a quarterback, if he is even in the top 15, or I think what Jordan Love's case would be potential top 10, if he's playing the way he should be, and if he's really playing the way we know he can, he's a potential top 5, top 7 quarterback. There you go. I mean, that's just the type of money that you're going to get when it comes to eventually got to pay that piper, right, Emilio?
Hey, it always comes around, Jacob. I mean, I know you got to deal with it. So, but crazy that Mr. Irrelevant's getting those kind of funds.
Yeah, and it's why like Ron Wolf always had a rule that you take a swing on quarterback every single year in the draft. Doesn't matter what round, you just commit to we're drafting at least one quarterback. Right. Because if you're willing to draft one in the first 7, in the 7 rounds of the draft, you probably got a pretty decent grade on them. You probably think they have a good opportunity to play at the next level. Maybe not starting as a superstar out of the gate, maybe be a developmental quarterback in the 6th or 7th round like Brock Purdy, but this is why you do that. And again, Kyle Shanahan comes from that West Coast offense tree from his dad. All that was embedded within the organizational aspect that Ron Wolf kind of came up through. Quarterback is that valuable. That's why we said in this year's draft, I'm not going to be surprised if they take a quarterback if the board falls just right, because it's that valuable. And here in this case, if they had not taken Brock Purdy, whether you think he's worth the money or not, if they had not drafted Brock Purdy, look at what happened with Trey Lance. He was supposed to be the golden goose, and it was a bust. Now they've got what they believe is their franchise quarterback because they took a swing on the very last pick of the draft. It's why we say, Emilio, every single year there's 2 drafts. There's a quarterback draft and there's the NFL draft.
Yep.
This is why people take the quarterback for sure.
That's why they traded back into the first round to pick up Jackson Dart, right? Get him on a 5th-year option. You have quarterback of you think the future, and you kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on that, Jacob? We good there, Bubba?
No, I just think real quick, it's not quite the same topic, but how valuable now do you think Malik Willis is to this franchise, and are we willing to? I've asked the question many times, but when do we decide if we're going to try to lock him down to be like a consistent, at least 2 to 3 year backup? And what would you feel comfortable paying him? Because you look at that type of money, Malik's got to start thinking, hey, if I get a chance and a team starts calling, or do I play it safe? And you know what I mean? Actually get some guaranteed money for the next few years. What would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah. If you're asking me what I would do, the number I'm coming up with is, 3 to 5 million per. He's not going to sign that without hitting free agency. And he may go and the market might not be there for him, right? But I will say this. If we go off precedent, whether it's Brian Gutekunst or Ted Thompson, to the best of my knowledge, neither of those general managers, Emilio, have ever paid more than a minimum contract for a backup quarterback. When did they extend a backup quarterback? When did they sign a backup quarterback in free agency that has had a significant amount of money? And by significant, I don't even mean 10 million plus. I mean like 3 to 5 million, right? It seems like their whole goal is stick with it, try to draft one every year, every other year, and mold them into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you just try to get talent in there. If it works for your team, perfect. If not, you got to go and move on to the next one. I think that's kind of what happened last year. Michael Pratt brought this whole stream down because of him, and he had to go because of it. No way we're going to sit around letting Michael Pratt be here and we just get demonetized. Okay, so I think that's why you go out and get the Canadian. You bring him in, see how it goes, see what happens. And then if it doesn't happen with him this year, all right, perfect. We move on to the next one. In the background, you still have Sean Clifford. But, yeah, Malik is really the question mark. Is it going to be Malik and Rashid that are on their way out and we get comp picks for them? Or is it going to be something that, hey, we want to pay maybe one of them? I don't think we pay both of them. But it's definitely a question we have to consider. But all that money's on Jordan Love right now. That's where our focus is.
Mm-hmm. All right. You good, Jacob?
Yeah, just real quick, let's do a shout out. Happy birthday to Stacy Mitchell. She says that she took the week off because it's her birthday, and she thinks that she deserves to drink today. I think you do too, Stacy.
I think so. That's a power move, taking a week off for the birthday.
That is a power move. You're right.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right, boys. Let's get into a little Matt LaFleur talk here, and more specifically, Jayden Reed. We've covered this story ever since it kind of emerged with the Adam Schefter really, really strange tweet that went out. And since then, I'm telling you right now, Adam Schefter, he might want to enter a couple of training camps. He's backpedaling like an all-pro cornerback right now. I'm just telling you, that dude he's running scared. I think what happened there was Drew Rosenhaus was puffing his chest out a little bit in a private conversation with him. And he took it as, I guess it's okay to share this. He shared it, and then Drew Rosenhaus went back and went, hey, Bub, you just made me look like an idiot.
Yeah. So what did you just do?
Why did you share that? Now, again, if Drew told him to share it, it comes across like, hey, look, here's what I'm willing to do for my clients, right? Here's what I'm willing to do for the players that I represent. However, a good agent, Jacob, they're going to look at that and go, how's that make my client look? How does that make my player look? Because it really did backfire. It flips around and makes it look like Jayden Reed was the one worried about his role and he's being a baby. Mark Chmura on ESPN, radio or whatever, whatever they're a part of their ESPN Milwaukee, I believe it is. He was making fun of him like he's a crybaby, and it wasn't even him. Like it was literally his agent, trying to do too much, I guess you could say. So, any thoughts on that before we play Matt LaFleur's response to this, who was on Unbuttoned, Chris Sims Unbuttoned? I think it was earlier today or maybe yesterday. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just say I've hated the media for so long, for so many different ways.
You? Really?
The sports media specifically is something that really let me down, because I remember watching ESPN and other things like that back in the early 2000s, late 90s, even, when it was just really sports. And it was, you had your guys that were the beat breakers and the guys that broke the stories, and that was kind of where it was. It was on ESPN from maybe 5 to 6, and then they played it 1,000 times over. But you didn't. I feel like the media now, they're trying to become as much having as much highlights as the athletes, and they want to have their name. They want to break every story. They want to be talked about. They want to have the interviews. They want to wear the nice suits. They want to be on the panel, answering questions during draft day. I feel like that, and we love it. We feed into it. So I'm guilty as anyone else. It really does kind of disgust me when you see a guy that prides himself on being, the top of the league kind of guy, and he kind of dragged Jayden Reed through the dirt. Even if it was unintentional, you have to look at yourself and be like, my job is to just basically report hard news. And I guess I shouldn't say that, because his news is his whole job is to report rumors and to kind of feed it in and get clickbait stuff. But it really did. It screwed Jayden Reed over. And it specifically makes me mad because he made me doubt Jayden Reed's leadership. You know what I mean? Because it was such out of left field. I'm like, Jayden Reed's doing this? And it was so out of character, and now I realize that it's just media gonna media. So that's all I'll say about that, because I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Chris in the chat says Chris Sims is trash, not a fan. Whether you think he's trash or not, I when you say trash, like, it seems a little strong, Chris. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm not a fan from a sense of I don't listen to his podcast. I can't stand it. It doesn't mean it's not good content. It just means it's not for me, right? I want something that's more analytical, more. Hey, here's behind the scenes. Here's what's going on. Here's the real story. And when he partners up with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk, it sounds like a couple girls gossiping. It really does.
To be fair, Chris, as you'll end before you even said that, retyped it and said Chris Sims is brash, not a fan. So he mistyped trash.
Yeah. Well, some would say he's trash. But I'll say this: he played quarterback in the NFL, right? His dad was one of the all-time great quarterbacks in New York Giants history, Super Bowl winner, played under Parcells. I do have a certain level of respect for people like that, even though I don't like his content. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's play the clip here real quick. Let's get us a screen grab up. Let's go with this one right here. I think it's pretty fitting. Here is what Matt LaFleur had to say on Chris Sims Unbuttoned. I think it was either, like I said, earlier today or maybe yesterday, on the Jayden Reed situation. Here we go.
So you draft 2 receivers and you go, hey, our team's going to be better. But almost instantly you have a receiver on your team and Jayden Reed, who I love and I know you love too, but is like, hey, what's this mean for me? Am I getting pushed to the side? How do you deal with some of that and those conversations and player management, altogether?
Well, I got to say that the first time I saw that, it was a surprise to me because he never once said a word to me. So that's all I can really speak on. But certainly you have communication with all our guys. And I tell them all the time, it's about the collection of that whole room and what you're going to bring to the table. And he's a guy he's had 2 years of a lot of production for us. So just my encouragement to him is continue to lead that room, because he's done a great job of that. And he's one of the guys out there. He's out there the other day at practice or when we're doing some of our drills, and he's coaching up Matthew Golden. So he's a guy I don't worry about. He's going to go out there. He's going to compete. He's going to compete at a high level, and he's going to bring up everybody around him as well.
So there you go. Obviously a big nothing burger. Just put together a real quick article. Say Green Bay Packers head coach Matt LaFleur recently joined Chris Sims Unbuttoned and discussed a rumor surrounding Jayden Reed's agent Drew Rosenhaus meeting with GM Brian Gutekunst about Reed's status as their top receiver. Quote, I got to say, the first time I saw that, it was a surprise to me because he never once said a word to me. Went on to say he's coaching up Matthew Golden. He's a guy I don't have to worry about. This is a big nothing story. And again, I love how Ryan broke it down on Packernet podcast. If you guys haven't heard that, he's like, now you hear Adam Schefter talking like, guys, this is being blown way out of proportion. Yeah. You didn't say that the first 48 hours there, Hoscat.
You weren't saying that at the shop. You know what I mean? I mean, you were talking game over there. I get that, Adam.
Yeah. Jacob, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it again. I specifically loved listening to Ryan just kind of give his little he's so good at when he plays the clips and just he has these little tiny, his 1 second interjections where he lets Schefter say, I really don't understand why it was such a big deal. Then why did you do it? And
right.
It's
right.
Just,
why did you tweet it?
that subtle knife in the side. You know what I mean? I think he does a great job of just kind of, highlighting, dude. You clearly started a fire, and then you were the guy that backed up, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Anybody got any water? No?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
You guys started a fire? I feel like that's exactly what we saw there. So it is what it is. The guy made a mistake. To be honest, I used to not be able to stand Schefter, and then he started growing on me. And lately, I just feel like he's getting a little too full of himself, sniffing his own, what's. So it is what it is.
Emilio,
like Matt said, I didn't expect it to be Jaden Reed. I think it was DJ or Buck. One of them was talking about the Trey Hendrickson thing, and you had the coach text Trey saying, "Hey, you're going to be cool if you miss practice. We're going to be cool, no problem." They're like, "Why are you even bringing the coach into it? If it's a contract talk, if we're talking about all that stuff, you don't even need to involve the coach because we want to try to keep that separate. That's why you have a GM." So I do think that it really did take Matt by surprise. I don't think he's lying there. I think that why would, every time I talk to Jaden Reed, he loves the offense. He loves being, doing X, Y, and Z for this team. And I think that that's going to keep going. So I'm not really, worried about where it's heading right now.
Right. And the big thing that sticks out to me is like, it sounds like he hired Drew Rosenhaus as his new agent, and Drew Rosenhaus immediately wanted to meet with Brian Gutekunst. That's all this was like, hey, just wanted to say, I'm representing Jaden Reed right now. I'm here if you need to talk, blah, blah, blah. What do we see for him? What's the future with him with the team? Right. That's probably all it was. And I guarantee you, Goody said, we love him, man. He's led our team in receiving the last 2 years. He's been somewhat durable. He pretty much can do anything across the formation in Matt's offense. He picked up the offense really quick his rookie year. Yeah. And then Drew Rosenhaus goes back and tells Adam Schefter and says, I actually talked to Brian Gutekunst earlier today, just called him, just sat down on behalf of Jaden and just wanted to reassure his position with the team. But it's how Schefter tweeted it out that made it sound like there was an issue there. So it's why you shouldn't jump to conclusions. And hopefully we covered it properly. Like never at any point were we going, Jaden Reed's a diva, Jaden Reed's this or that. It was just – for me, I don't have a problem with if Jaden did go to the team and said, hey, man, how's this affect me? I want to be the dude. Right. I want a guy that wants to be the dude. You know what I mean?
Even if Adam had just came out with like a little video clip, hey, it was just, he reached out to Goody just trying to figure out what's going on with Jaden Reed. That's all I heard. And he said that, hey, Reed's still number one. We're good. You can take it completely out of context just reading the text that he sent out or, the tweet in text form.
Right. Blake B says Jaden Reed should have signed with Jerry Maguire instead. If you guys don't know, Drew Rosenhaus was actually – he helped on Jerry Maguire. He actually helped if I remember correctly, he was helping coach up Jay Moore.
Jay Moore, I was going to say. And if you watch that movie, you can understand why some people don't like Drew.
Right. Drew has calmed down a little bit as he's gotten older, too. He's gotten way more professional. As you guys know, we ran into him at the restaurant that we ate at in Green Bay on Wednesday night when we were there for the draft. And sure enough, Javon Bullard walks in and sits at the table with him. I immediately fired up the old Goog. So let's get it. I'll be darned. He's Bullard's agent. This sucks. Right. So there we are. But anyway,
real quick, just to put a cap on this, didn't Ryan say that the reason that the whole conversation was even sparked is because Jaden Reed decided to switch agents and just recently went to Drew Rosenhaus, and Drew was just basically doing a due diligence. Hey, just so you know, I'm representing Jay now. I just want to see everything's good. Like that is the nothingest burger of all nothing burgers.
And literally, Adam Schefter said that almost verbatim yesterday on, I think it was Jen Gabe and Chewy or wherever he was at. But that's not what he started with. Right. It's like you could just tell he backtracked big time. So I honestly think, and I don't know for sure, I'm just giving my opinion. I think what he did was he read into it the wrong way, fired that tweet out there. Drew came back and said, hey, knucklehead, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And then he started, like I said, backpedaling like Al Harris. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, can't do it. So Yasmin in the chat says, Jaden Reed better not be wasted by the Packers. 2024, he started on fire and then gradually disappeared. That made no sense at all. The big thing that bothers me, Yasmin, hopefully I'm saying that name correctly. I apologize if I'm not, was the targets went way down in the second half, right? And when you turn on the tape, you do see them hammering down a little bit more on Jaden Reed in the second half of the season. That, and he also tweaked the shoulder and he hurt his ankle as well. So it's like And I can't remember which presser it was, but Matt LaFleur made a comment just very briefly in passing, like, yeah, we wanted to take some of those body shots off of him because he was banged up. So that kind of explains why they took the targets away. I think if he stays healthy in 2025, he's going to be one of, if not the focal points. And again, here's what's cool. With the drafting of Matthew Golden, and hopefully Savion Williams can pick up the offense really quick. I think Dontavion Wicks is going to take a step forward, and there's going to be a lot of people that have to eat crow, and I'm really excited about that because his rookie year, man, he was fantastic. It was so much fun watching him play, and everybody talks about the drops last year, but go look at the second half of the season. Second half of the season, he cleaned up those drops tremendously. First half, don't get me wrong, it was cheeks, it was bad. But I think he could take a step forward. But nonetheless, if you start to take some of that attention off of Jayden Reed, watch that open back up like we've seen. I want to say in his rookie year, but the reality is he had better statistics last year than he did his rookie year.
Yeah, he didn't take a step back. He just gradually progressed. And can I make one point, which I just realized? Do you guys remember that iconic moment where you show where Dontavion's coming off the field after I think it was a drop pass, and he's got his head down, like straight down to the ground, and Aaron Jones comes up and grabs him and literally puts his head up, smacks him on the head. Now, I'm not saying that there's no leaders, but losing a guy like Aaron Jones that's leaving, that was willing to do that and pick guys' heads up that literally were at a downtime, do you think that there was maybe a little bit of a leadership gap? And I'm not saying because we obviously had X on the defensive side. I'm just saying on the offensive side, it
who's
seems
the leader,
like
right?
Who's the guy that stepped up? We didn't have, Aaron Jones, but I will say that it seems like Jacobs took that on as the season progressed to the point where at the end of the season, he was almost calling guys out, even in the off season. So I think that, J. Cole says, isn't that Josh Jacobs? I think it definitely became that. Yep.
It's too old for this says, Aaron Jones helped mentality so much. Wicks benefited so much. It's true. And listen, that's the thing that in this Madden football day and age, it's all right. Who's the best player, Amelia? Who's got the highest overall rating? Who's got the highest PFF grade? Mm-hmm. But there's a real thing in the locker room that you need those glue guys. You got to have it. Now, I honestly think that's what Aaron Rodgers was talking about for a long time. And I know that's going to tick some people off. I truly don't care. But that's the reality of that situation. When you piss off a Devontae Adams and now he doesn't want to accept the contract you should have offered him all along and he leaves, you lose leadership. When you decide you're not going to sign Jordy Nelson for even a minimum contract or very little over a minimum contract, Jordy's not the same player he was, but you're losing veteran leadership. All those things happen. And I know there's a portion of the fan base that go, well, they were the right moves. They were the right moves. Were they? When was the last time we hoisted the Lombardi? Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand you could say, well, the players we replaced them with had a better season, even though they were with the Raiders and a Cheeks quarterback, right? But there's something to that. I'm not saying it's everything, just like the overall talent isn't everything, but there's a cohesion that you need in that locker room. You need that leadership to kind of hold it together. And that's what we talked about last year was you can't expect to win the Super Bowl with the youngest roster in the league. It could happen. It could. But it's highly unlikely. But go ahead, Amelia. You're going to say
we've like you said, we've been trying to chase that the past couple of years. Hasn't quite worked out. But I think that talking about Josh Jacobs, we kind of saw it in that clip. Even just playing for the Raiders, a couple of losses, and guys were just trying to have fun. And he's like, no, why are we not upset about this? Why do you not want to go out there and win? Right. I think him bringing that kind of energy really. The drop off from Jones was a lot smoother, and that's what everyone said in the chat, and they've all said it before. It's like that drop off and change to Jacobs was so much easier than we really thought at first, and I think that was probably an underestimated thing that when they had maybe interviewed Jacobs or talked to him on the phone, say, hey, we want to kind of bring you in, that he was bringing that sort of mentality. That's probably the next thing they're going to add to Madden, Clay. Let's get a personality grade or something. You can get right next to speed and acceleration.
That team, they tried to add that team chemistry in years ago, and it just didn't.
Right.
It was almost just like it was a rating, and it didn't do anything. But the big thing there too is the NFL is really, really strict on them and what they can put in. They don't want anything that gives any kind of negative light. Back in the day, they would have people getting arrested. All right, this person gets suspended.
I saw a picture. What was it like back in 2002 or 2003 when you picked your parents and your parents had different DNAs and everything, and then your player came out of that? Like, it's crazy.
It is. So Yeah, there you go. So there's the Jayden Reed talk, and it really is more about team culture and all that. And again, I'm not dogging Goody. I think Goody is one of the best general managers in the National Football League. I think he's done a great job here the last few drafts of really spotting talent. I think they put together an awesome squad. I mean, he won, 11 games last year is what they finished with. And there was many people that were picking them to win 9 games. Some of them were picking them to win 6 games, right? Mm-hmm. In 2023, they were expecting them to they were going to fall apart, end up making the playoffs, winning 9 games. To me, that's a testament to how Goody has built the roster. I'm just simply saying, got to put a little more emphasis on that veteran leadership aspect. And again, when I talk Jordy Nelson and some of those older players, that was obviously Ted Thompson. But Goody is cut from the same cloth as Ted Thompson. You know, one of the things that I heard the other day, and it really stuck out to me, was Brian Goody said it in an interview. He's been with the Packers organization for 30 years. 30 years, if I understood correctly. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
He's a veteran for sure. But all right. So there you go. There's that talk. I want to hit a couple of comments that we highlighted here. We got the Mac and Cheese podcast in the house. Shout out to Mary. Appreciate you swinging through. So we have formed a partnership with My Autism Connection. Okay, if you guys aren't familiar, it's just building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. All right, their vision is to create inclusive communities where autistic adults are self-reliant and successful, engage in meaningful connections, and living their best lives. So here's what we've done, okay? And I was going to wait till June to roll this out, but we're going to go ahead and roll it out right now. If you go to my Twitter page, I'm going to keep it pinned until the end of June. And when we get into July 1st, we're giving away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, okay? Now, there's a link on that tweet that's attached there. And it's actually the link is it's kind of a unique link. They use a system called GiveButter. So it's givebutter.com/KRPSJ5. It's easier. Just go to my Twitter account at Packers_access. I'm also going to try to provide the link in our video description as well. So you click on that link and any amount you want to donate, okay? When you make a donation, that's going to enter you into the contest, the same as we do with our Patreon giveaways. We're going to put everybody's name on there, okay, that donate in this time frame, and we're going to put it on the wheel and spin it and give away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. And I see Bates already, being the man he is, made a big donation here. Thank you, Bates. What you want to do is put your name in. And I know, listen, there's going to be some people who go, I don't need the jersey. I just want to donate to a good cause. We greatly appreciate that. If you would rather stay anonymous, that's cool. But if you put your name in there and put PTA next to it, that's going to be the only way we can add you into the giveaway. Okay, so I would really, really, really appreciate it if you would put some kind of name in there and PTA next to it. That way we can, give what we're donating to the cause there as well. And I'm going to make a donation as well. Mandy and I are in the name of PTA. So it's a great cause. Make sure you check it out. And we've got, I know I'm going to screw the name up. What would you say? Tay Steampunk 93, My Autism Connection member here. Thanks for the awesome shout out. Friend of Mac and Cheese podcast. I appreciate y'all swinging through and thank y'all for raising awareness. I think it's absolutely awesome. So Chris was asking where you could check it out. I imagine anywhere you can get podcasts and just search for Mac and Cheese podcast. And you can also go find her on Twitter. Matter of fact, I could probably give you really, really quick the actual handle here. That way I can steer everybody. Make sure you go give Mary a follow. Her Twitter handle is at Mary 90118710. So if you type in at Mary 9011, that should pull it up. Okay, so 9011 should pull that up. Go give them a follow and follow their podcast. It's awesome stuff. So just good people, good.
Absolutely,
people.
Got to meet them at the draft.
Yeah,
great time.
Definitely. All right, let's move it along here and let's get to the next topic, which is I wanted to hit the salary cap for 2026 real quick, if that's all right with you guys. And just kind of take a glance ahead at some of these high cap hits that are coming up for the 2026 season. People are going, Clayton, it's 2025. Why do I care about 2026? Because this is what's going to steer the roster in a specific direction. When you got these high cap hits, you're going to look at, okay, how do we get that cap number down? Or do we just move on from said player, right? So here are the highest cap hits as it sits right now for the 2026 active roster, okay? 36.1 million cap hit, Jordan Love. All right. Now, keep in mind, we just talked about quarterback contracts, right? And you see how Jordan Love's number on there was 55, right? Yeah. 55 million. This is what we're talking about with allocation. All right. Last year it was 26 or 27 million was his cap hit.
Yep.
I don't expect this cap hit to ever exceed 50 million, me personally. If it does, it's going to be 3 years down the road, and by then they'll probably adjust and have that cap number drop. Nonetheless, 36.1, he leads the way. Second is Kenny Clark at 31.3 million. Look at the age. He's 31 years old. Guys, that's an old 31 too, because he came in the league very, very young. Now, what I want you to key in on with Kenny here is the dead cap. All right. So if you look at the dead cap attached next year, it's $17 million. So what you're talking about is a cap hit of what? 31 million. I'll do the quick math here on the old calculator. I should know that, but I'm getting old here. All right. Minus 17. So you're looking at freeing up $14 million roughly, if my math is correct there, if you just cut him outright next year in Kenny Clark. So that's where you've got to make the decision. All right, we're definitely bringing that number down, and the majority of his guaranteed money is gone, or else that dead cap number would be significantly higher. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to keep Kenny around? If so, then you need to go to the base salary and try to manipulate the cap a little bit, convert some salary to signing bonus, kick it on down the road with some voidable years, that type of thing. Me personally, I'm leaning toward, this is why I wanted a 3-tech in this year's draft. Doesn't mean you reach for them, but this is what we were talking about is go get that 3-tech of the future, go get another interior defensive tackle that can play alongside Devontae Wyatt in that nickel 4-2-5. And that way you're kind of prepared for if you have to step away from Kenny Clark next year. So what do you guys think about Kenny's number? Jacob, I'll start with you here, man, unless you're busy there. 31.3, I think we'd all agree. That's too high of a cap number for Kenny next year, right?
Yeah, that's irrationally horrible. When you look at that grouping there, 10% of the Packers salary cap is going to be going to Kenneth Clark. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that we're even going to get near that situation there. And to be honest, I mean, it is tough when you look at that. That's a weird ranking there. Jordan Love, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Jair, and Aaron Banks. And then you see the guy right below him there, Mr. Elton Jenkins. You maybe understand, and I think it's been released a little bit that that's probably why he's a little bit ornery, if I had to say, or a little bit maybe disgruntled, frazzled, dare I say, you know. I kind of understand it, but I see both sides of that argument. But specifically with Kenny Clark, no, I don't think that, you know, I don't want to bash a guy that's on the Packers who I actually do respect and who I thought gave us a lot of decent playing time. It's just at this point, and I was very surprised that he's even getting through this year, because that's a lot of money for a guy that just has not. I mean, that at one point, that's like Aaron Donald money. You know what I mean? Like, he's up there in that criteria, Chris Jones type money, but he's not playing anywhere near those guys. I mean, he's not playing near their backups.
Right. That's true. I mean, and that's it, right? I think Goody was trying to get ahead of the curve there when, when he got that extension, you try to jump ahead of it, get him before he hits 30, before he hits that plateau, whatever it is. He kind of hit it maybe a little bit sooner. We're asking him to do different things. But yeah, being 31 million, that's kind of tough. I love that there's only 2 people over 10%, instead of having 3, 4, 5 guys over 10% of the cap. That's really nice that it's only 2, and one of them being your star quarterback. But I think you reel that in a little bit. Everyone's kind of getting a fair cut of the pie, keeping them under there. And I think that's going to help us kind of grow in the future. But you think where Rashawn is, Ja, and even Ja's number might get reworked here. So we're looking at his 8% now, and that could even be further down. It's going to be crazy if it's, Jordan Love, Rashawn Gary, Aaron Banks. So I think Elton's going to probably come up to that 10%. I think that, Ja might come down a little bit, probably around 6 or 5, right in there between X and Josh. And then, we could probably go from there, just sort of once they work them a little.
Honestly, Emilio, even though Elton's going to be getting more guaranteed money if they do rework that deal, I think his cap number is going to go down significantly.
Of the percentage of it?
Yeah. So think about it. I mean, unless they're way, way, way under on the cap, which that's going to manipulate the percentage in which he would fall, everyone would fall on the roster. Right. I think Elton's number is probably going to come down to, if they rework a deal for next year, somewhere around 17, 18 million, something like that. No more than 20. So that would drop him down a touch.
Right.
Aaron Banks's will probably stay about the same. They may restructure from a sense of converting base salary to signing bonus and kicking it down the road a little. I could see that. But when you're looking at our cap ranking next year, we're 26 in the league with only 1.6 million in cap space. We kind of talked about that the other night. But you can free that up. I mean, my goodness. Kenny Clark can be cut and you free up, whatever it is. Well, we said 14 million, right? If Jair Alexander isn't here next year, and they may tear up this final year of the contract too, that could happen with the reworking of the deal, right? They could say, hey, let's make this year more incentive based. We'll knock next year's year off of it. That way you're free to move on. We'll just have kind of a one and done here this year. We part as friends type thing. So you're seeing many, many different scenarios where you can free up that cap space. Like Xavier McKinney, that cap hit a 19.1. They're not going to cut him, of course, but they'll probably do some kind of restructure, right, to where they can free up a little cap space there if they need to do that as well. So the other thing too is Devontae Wyatt sitting at that 12.9, right? I'm not ruling out personally that they don't create some kind of extension, and next year that number is different. Now it may be a little higher, it may be a little lower, but that 12.9 is that 5th-year option that's fully guaranteed, right? And they can also tack on voidable years. That's another way they can free it up. Let's say they don't extend Devontae Wyatt and he's just going to play on the 5th-year option. They can tack on 2 or 3 voidable years and spread that out over 3 years, and that reduces. You could probably free up $8 million in cap space if you wanted to right there. So when we talk about them having minimal cap space next year, it's not going, oh man, we got to cut a bunch of players, we're in trouble. No, there's time to free that money up and be very creative. Russ Ball to be creative and free up that cap space. So now the question is though, do you want some of these guys on your roster? And I see in the chat, I think everybody would pretty much agree. I haven't seen anybody in the chat say Kenny's worth the money, right? And I don't mean to be mean here. And I'm with Jacob. Like you're not going to find a better person. You're not going to find a better leader. He's a locker room leader. That's what, again, those glue guys. And I know Kenny has not played that well the last few years. You guys know I was very vocal. I did not want them to extend him, but we just got through having a conversation of lack of leadership on the team, right? And culture.
That's true.
So here we are again, right? I think that had more to do with that than it did necessarily his play on the field, although he did play hurt last year. And I think he was playing a lot of touch spy, trying to free up Devontae Wyatt to get one-on-one situations as well. So there's just a lot of factors that come into it, but just wanted to take kind of a glance ahead. And again, the one who caught the most seats probably Rashawn Gary. And, his cap hit next year jumps to $28 million. However, look at the dead cap. You could cut him and free up $11 million in cap space. You see what I'm saying? So the way that's loaded, I don't think they'll do that because Gary led the team in sacks. He led the team in pressures. He led the team in run stops in terms of the defensive line / edge defenders. So I would say there's a little restructure there as well. There's plenty of maneuvering that can take place here with the Caps.
And the reason why everybody gets their contracts is because they obviously have to project. We're projecting with the draft on what they're going to be. They're projecting, hey, is this going to keep going? Are they going to keep getting better? At some point, you need to keep talent that you homegrown. I mean, 3 contract here in Green Bay. I almost want to just retire a Packer and call it a day. But if he wants to go on elsewhere and get his money, that's totally fine. But I think work that number a little bit, get it back down under control, and we should be in good shape.
Well, and it sucks too because, like Stacy says here, as much as she loves Kenny and thinks that it's too high of a contract, even the greatest of the greats, just people forget the Patriots just basically shoved Tom Brady down to Tampa, and we're like, good riddance. Thanks for all you did for us.
Right.
Have fun. And the guy went on to win. You know what I'm saying? Most people aren't built like that, right? The Packers have made like Amelia just said, they're in the game of projecting. They're in the game of seeing what's our books, what's our team, what's everything going to look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. And, like Clayton said too, Russ Ball's going to have to mold that ball of clay. See what I did there? God, that was good.
Man, that was really
it's double entendre. And he's going to have to, see what comes out the other side. And there's a lot of guys on here, like I would argue the Banks, the Hobbs, even guys like Keyshawn, a lot of guys that like Clay mentioned, next year could look way different if they don't perform.
Yep. No, it's a great point. Chris in the chat said Kenny is possibly a Packers Hall of Famer to me, but I still can't believe Goot did that massive deal. OMG. I think that's very fairly put, Chris. I do. I think he could be a Packer Hall of Famer as well. And I agree, man. It just seems like a bad deal. Now, who would we have replaced him with, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, Carl Brooks or TJ Slayton or anybody like that would have played significantly better than Kenny, and you lose the leadership. So that kind of comes into play as well. I don't want to say it's a sensitive topic, but it is something that general managers have to kind of navigate through, in terms of building a roster and building one that kind of, I don't know, stay cohesive. But I will say this, I think 2-0 for this is onto something here. He says, just hire Matt Ramage as an equipment manager. You'll have all the leadership you need. There you go. Very well said. Which, by the way, we had that video teed up of Matt Ramage last night. We didn't get to it. I messaged him, said, Matt, can we share that video you calling in sick to work drunk at Lambeau? And he went, absolutely. Yeah. He's all about it. But anyway, anything else you guys want to hit on here with the salary cap? Y'all want to go back to 25? You want to go forward, or are we good there?
Yeah, take me to 27.
27?
Project it for me real quick.
So Jordan Love's number jumps to $42.4 million in 27.
Not bad. Yeah. Not bad at all.
That's right, and we still haven't sniffed the $50 million mark. You see what I'm saying? And look at the dead cap. We're now getting into the portion of Jordan's contract where the dead cap's $31.7 million. Now, you don't want to eat a $31.7 million dead cap penalty, right? However, if he isn't the guy, you move on, you free up $11 million. You may have – I don't even want to have this conversation, but we'll do it just for the sake of it's off season.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Let's say Jordan Love this year takes a step back, right? And Goody going into the offseason goes, I don't know if he's our guy. We got to try to find the next great franchise quarterback. Then you dive into this year's draft and you try to find that quarterback, and then you have Jordan start another year, and maybe Jordan – boom, he blows up and he's an MVP candidate. All right, great. You got two good quarterbacks on your roster. That's a hell of a problem to have. And one's on a rookie deal, right? However, if he continues to take a step back, you cut bait. You've got a young quarterback on a rookie contract to step in and assume the role of starting quarterback. You freed up $11 million in space, and you're on to trying to find the right guy. Because the ultimate goal is finding the right guy. I think Jordan is the dude. I want to be very, very clear. I'm just simply saying, when we seen that contract drop, how many people were like, oh, my God, this is crazy. This is too much. Yeah, exactly. So it's something that I think Goody handled it perfect, man. I really do. So in that regard, any other people you want to see here? I know Gary's jumps to 31, but look at this. Only $8.5 million in dead cap. You can get out of that in a blink.
Yeah.
Right.
Just real quick, I think Prince puts a good cap on all of these talks, which is he says if they had not re-signed Kenny, people would be complaining about the lack of respect the Packers show to their veterans.
Very true.
100%.
Especially a young one that's been with the team for 10 years, basically.
One of their own, right? Homegrown type. Yeah. That's a great point, Frank. Great point. All right. Anything else, Emilio? You want to see any other numbers here? You good?
No, I just love, the fact that we're so spread out on low numbers, percentage of cap wise, is unbelievable. Like looking at that entire roster is basically just our past two drafts and then crazy. Like a couple of guys that we paid. And so like that kind of goes back to that other thing we looked at a couple of days ago where you're going back over the drafts and obviously you're going to get cuts or, red X's not on the team anymore, but it's because you found the winners in that draft. You kept them, you move forward, you can't keep looking back. And I think that, you give them all a chance. You gave Stokes a chance. You gave Savage, whoever it is that you gave a chance to, you gave it your all. All right, move on because we have to open up a spot for these new guys. And I'm excited about all of them.
Yeah. And again, when we talk about positions of importance, tier 1, tier 2, all those things, Jordan Love, quarterback, tier 1. Rashawn Gary, edge, tier 1. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, tier 1. You see what I'm saying? Like, follow the checkbook.
Top tier 2.
Yep,
yes,
there you go.
That is 100% true. But like to Emilio's point, if you just get past about Josh Jacobs and Nate Hobbs, you hit your Brandon McManus because the talent after that is so spread out. I mean, can you scroll down? I mean, look at who's there: Matthew Golden, Jordan Morgan, Edgerrin Cooper,
the bargain. Oh my God,
Bullard, Jair, kind of Marshawn Hopper, who knows Savion, Evan Williams-Barrett. I mean, that's the future. We have the future right there, and these guys are making just a little bit more than I do,
Unbelievable.
I mean, after a good night.
There's your salary cap talk. All right. For those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
Welcome in hour 2. All right. Before we shift gears, we're going to talk a little. Emilio's like, I got the soundboard tonight, baby.
We got
Oh,
dollar
wow.
store Tim. We got dollar store Tim here with
Exactly
Emilio.
what we got. Before we move into a little like, all right, we already talked about how the contracts are kind of laying out moving forward. We're going to get into a little bit. Let's just take a quick glance. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on the upcoming draft board. I want to give a shout out to somebody real quick. Rick Kruger. You see him in the chat sometimes. I don't know if he's been in here tonight or not. He texted me the other day, said, hey, I want to send you guys a package. Where do I send it to? So I gave him.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, yeah. I kept trying to give you. I was putting your email on there, put the phone number on there. I was like,
right, that was him. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, if you could see what he sent a ton. He said just from his collection, like it was a no big deal. I'm thinking we're going to get a couple cards, and look, everything's greatly appreciated, right? There are so many cool autograph rookie cards that he sent. I'm talking about like over 20 that we're going to be doing in giveaway. Like stuff like this. LVN, right? You got Javon Bullard. And now here's the other thing. Here's some Kingsley and Akbare one. I mean, there are tons in here that we're going to do as part of our Patreon giveaways moving forward. Okay, awesome. Here's what's crazy. He also sent 3 separate packages: one to me, one to Tim, one to Emilio, one to Jacob. So 4. Numbers are hard in Kentucky. And I opened mine. Mandy said, you want to open Jacob and Emilio's? She said, I could package it right back up. And
Mandy!
But he sent me an autographed Edgerrin Cooper rookie card.
Dang.
Bro, it's so I just want to say, our listeners, Mr. Larry did this. I think Bates done it. There's too many to mention, right? We appreciate everyone, but Greg in Green Bay shows up at our Airbnb. Man, here's the best cannolis in Wisconsin. You're welcome. Like,
I slammed so many of those, Greg. You have no idea.
Packer fans are the greatest on the face of the freaking planet. And I just love the community that we've created. So shout out to Rick. I didn't want the show to get by me without saying that. I cannot thank you enough. He may be pissed that I even mentioned his name. It's probably in the text message. He probably said, don't mention my name. But sorry, bro. That's the way it goes. So, yeah. Greg Rice, don't let Excelio chew the corners.
How are you supposed to taste if it's good? That's how you see if a card's good, Greg.
Chewy's another one. Chewy in and out of the chat at times. I think he made a donation or wanted to make a donation. It's like, I feel bad. Hey guys, we appreciate the offer, but they're not taking no for an answer, man. So thank you guys so much. Y'all are awesome, man. That's like I said, shows for the shows for the fans, by the fans. It's just it's an awesome community we've created here. So Randy says Packer fans are the greatest in every. I mean, it's so true. It's so true. Emilio, were they not awesome at the draft, dude?
Unbelievable who they're. Even the security guard remembered me because of my sombrero. We went through the same gate that next day. He goes, "Oh, hat guy, how are you?" Like, and dude, we just walked right through. He just looked at it real quick, gave it right back to me, and we were off, man. And that's just like from the top down, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I think Wes and Mike and Wes were talking about that. Even from literally like the security detail and the security people all the way up to Mark Murphy, the NFL, Roger Goodell. That whole experience was just incredible.
Yeah, and the who is it? Robert here. Robert messaged me earlier and said he said he was asking where could he find the video of Emilio on draft night? And I said, I think it was early Friday night. He went and found it on NFL Network. Bro, it's hilarious. I wish I could show it, but it's on the app.
With me just shaking the sombrero. I got
to see it shaking, and then all of a sudden you see this little head going. It was awesome. So, what a great time, man! What a great time.
Had a good spot. I had to take advantage. It was a little rainy. No one wanted to be up front. I'll take it. Who was I in between? Chris Sims, right? I think that's who I was next to in the maroon suit or whoever it was. But I'll take it.
I'm still cracking up. I could still see Jordan's face when y'all got back. And they were over there forever, and we were already doing the show and everything. And she stopped in the kitchen and she looked exhausted. I'm like, Emilio wore her out tonight.
Yeah, oh for sure. We were back and forth. I was up into the bowl, back out, up down, go
like
back
a rat on acid out there.
Yeah,
unbelievable stuff.
Couple trips to the tent, had to get refills and stuff like that.
What'd they call that again? What was that tent called?
The beer tent.
The beer tent, yeah. So that's pretty cool. All right, anyway, let's jump into a little bit since we talked a little salary cap. All right. Let's take a look at next year's draft.
Amelia, read the chat. You got to get caught up in the chat, buddy.
Oh boy.
It's nothing. It's cute humor. All right. It's nothing to.
Oh wait, but to this, Clay, you missed this one.
Yes,
I just read you spread my sheets.
It's taken out of context. The 2026 draft.
Oh, that's right. Chris the Casualin. Let me do this real quick. Chris the Casualin's a man of his word, right? We had the little friendly wager where
only want the donuts when they're in season.
A couple dozen of Krispy Kreme donuts. All right. So it was about the 5th-year option, right? I said I think that they'll smack at least one of the two players, Devontae White or Quay Walker, or both, with a 5th-year option. He didn't think they would hit either of them with it. So obviously Devontae White gets a 5th-year option. Therefore, I won the bet. And what I said is we're going to donate the 2 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts to a listener. Now, it's going to take some trust out there, okay?
I listen.
You don't listen to anybody.
No, we should donate it to the homeless and give it to AFM.
Unbelievable.
Dude.
This is why we can't have nice things, Jake. This is why we can't have nice things.
Neither can AFM because he's homeless.
Maybe we'll do a Patreon giveaway one night and just spin the wheel, and whoever it lands on, hey, if you trust us with your address, we'll DoorDash Krispy Kreme donuts to your front door. Because I wanted to donate it as well. However, I may just have them sent to my house too. I'm telling you, dude, I used to be chocolate covered cream filled kind of guy. Now I'm just a regular cream filled donuts, dude. Those are unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So anyway, let's talk draft.
Little glaze, dip it in the coffee in the morning, Clay.
Oh yeah, dude, you kidding me, man? Let's go. All right, so here's what the draft is looking like for 2026. Again, we just talked about Kenny Clark might be gone, right? Who's another one we talked? Jair probably won't be here next year, right? I think we would all agree that's definitely on the table there. So here's how the draft is setting up for next year. I want you to key in on the quarterbacks here. Number 1 overall, and again, these are just consensus big boards. This is going to shift. It's going to adjust. Arch Manning, quarterback out of Texas. Number 2, Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback, LSU. Number 3, defensive lineman TJ Parker out of Clemson. Number 4, quarterback Cade Klubnik, I think is how you say the name, out of Clemson. Then you got Caden Proctor, offensive tackle out of Bama. Then guess what you got? Drew Allar, quarterback, Penn State. Then you got Lenoris Sellers, quarterback, South Carolina. Like literally, what is that? 6 of the first 7 are quarterbacks? No, 5 of the first 7 are quarterbacks, right? Yeah. And then you got Caleb Downs, who's been the best safety in college football 2 years. When he stepped foot in Alabama his freshman year, he was the best safety in college football. He since took a huge paycheck, went to Ohio State, won a natty. Now he's going to be stepping in the league. Peter Woods, defensive tackle, Clemson. You're seeing Clemson with a pretty good draft class. This is kind of feeling like Ole Miss of last year, right? You're seeing a lot of names here.
Yep.
And then, of course, you've got offensive tackle Francis Muagoa, I think is how you say it, offensive tackle out of Miami. Ruben Bain, edge defender out of Miami in the number 11 spot. Spencer Fano, offensive tackle, Utah. Then you got defensive lineman Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas. Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee. Isaiah World, offensive tackle out of Oregon. My boy, Jeremiah Love in the 17th spot. Best running back in college football next year. By the way, Notre Dame's got the best running back room in all of college football. You heard it here first.
Heard it from a fan right here.
Caleb Banks, defensive lineman out of Florida in the 18th spot. Danny Dennis Sutton, edge defender out of Penn State in the 19th spot. Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. Cornell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. LT Overton, edge defender out of Alabama. You got Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. Then you got another quarterback in the first round, Nico Iamaleava with UCLA. Look at Emilio's eyes light up. But he burnt Knoxville to the ground, did he not?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, he played for Tennessee. He was supposed to be at the spring game. No showed him for the spring game and announced he was entering the transfer portal. He was making over $2 million from Tennessee. He said he wanted
$4.
And he ended up having to settle for less than $1 million at UCLA after taxes, right, Emilio?
Yeah. I think he settled at 1.8 or 1.9, and then after taxes in California, brought him down to like 800 and 900,000.
Yeah. Oof. Then you got Mateo, edge defender out of Oregon. Caleb Lomu. Is that how you say it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah State. Another quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. He's the 28th best prospect out of Indiana, right? Cornerback Malik Muhammad out of Texas. Dylan Thieneman, safety out of Oregon. Nick Singleton, running back out of Penn State. A.J. Harris, cornerback out of Penn State. The reason I want to point that out, the quarterbacks drive the draft class. This is why there were a lot of teams this year, gang, that said, you know what, we'll pass on quarterback this year and we'll just wait till next year. Look at this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks projected to go top 10, and then another 6th and 7th with first-round grades, according to the consensus big board as it sits right now.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way?
What do you think, Jeff? I see you shaking your head, man.
Yeah, Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
Get it right, okay? Iamaleava.
It's not going to
send know that, Jake, because his name is mentioned 30,000 times on Sports Talk.
Seriously. No, because I heard Ryan say it the first time, and Jacob just said it the Iamaleava. You said it the same way. And Jacob, the reason is because that's all I turn on the truck and the radio. Well, Nico's over here, Iamaleava over here.
And down Tennessee, they got that twang to that. Nico Iamaleava. Anyway.
It is kind of unreal. I don't think I've ever seen a draft. Obviously we've seen it how it changes from the beginning of the year, once the year's done, and then once the underwear Olympics come into respect to, and just Mama leave this stream.
Wasn't Carson Beck? Wasn't he in Georgia?
Yes, he was. So he took a big NIL deal to go to Miami. Here's a little behind college football for you. Carson Beck announced he was transferring from Georgia to Miami, Florida, right, to the University of Miami in Florida. And when he announced that, everybody's going, hold up a minute. He got an offer? The portal wasn't even open yet. That's what's going on in college football. As soon as that happened, that's when Nico found out that Carson Beck, I think, got $5 million to go to Miami. And that's why he went to Tennessee and said, hey, bub, we're going to need $4 million. And Tennessee said, you can take that Kirby down the street. We ain't buying it, baby. Get out of here. So he goes to UCLA, gets a little over $1 million after taxes. He's got to settle for like $800,000. Bad move by Papa Iamaleava. It was his dad, by the way. That's the weirdo.
It was. But that is crazy. I mean, Carson Beck being 58th, he could climb very quickly. He's already played in college. He knows where he's going with it. It's cool that you have an Iowa State guy and a UTEP minor. All right, I like that. In the top 150, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
But Greg was asking about me starting up the 26th draft, and yeah, we can, but this is a little too early information from consensus to put into the board is the issue.
Yeah. If we put it into the board right now, it's going to get changed at the end of the college football season is what it comes down to. Right. Because the very first step in building the PTA big board is as soon as the college football season ends, the consensus big board goes in and it stays set. That's the goal there. We got a super chat here from Seth Reuter. Thank you, buddy. He says, off topic, but who would you choose today for the next 5 years, Half or Matt LaFleur? I'm taking Matt LaFleur, but will hate losing Halfley one of these years. He is head coach material. That's a great question. I'm going with Matt LaFleur as well, but I've been very, very clear that I want an offensive-minded coach as my head coach. But what do you guys think? If it came down to it and you had to choose, you got to lose one, who would you go for? Would you have Coach Halfley? Would you have Jeff Halfley as your head coach, or would you have Matt LaFleur as your head coach? What do y'all think?
It's got to be Matt for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
ahead.
so it's unanimous. Got it. I think it's a great question too, Seth. I do, man. 'cause
I know
Hafley-
what he's asking, because you can see in the demeanor with Hafley, and I think the way that he is a player's coach, but still like a scheme analytical type. It's different because he's on defense, but you seem to see a sort of like, how Matt LaFleur is so great at scheming guys open. On the flip side of that, it seems like Hafley's talent is knowing that what his players are capable of doing and tailoring his offense to fit their tendencies and their abilities. Does that make sense? Because LaFleur is like, I know that what this guy does, I got to scheme him up. Hafley goes, I know what this guy's limitations or maybe what his pluses are, so I got to scheme the defense in this type of way. And you see how he handles press conferences. You see what he did at Boston College. He has the bona fides. I'd be shocked if he's not a head coach in the next 2 to 3 years tops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah.
And honestly, I mean, the coaches that have won Super Bowls recently has been a lot of offensive head coaches. It's just the way the NFL is going. It's not that, that Hafley can't do it or anything like that. I think he is going to get a chance, but you just see less defensive head coaches, go ahead and bring that Lombardi home. And on top of that, Hafley's up in the box anyway. He wants to be able to see the whole field. So how often is it, not a head coach not on the sideline as well?
Right. Nah, I think it's a great point. Appreciate the super chat, Seth. That's a good question, man. I understand where you're coming from with Haf. He will be a head coach. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's going to suck when we lose him. Yeah. So, again, we wanted to do this little exercise with the draft because we just talked about the contracts, right? I think we would all agree the one that's most likely not going to be here is probably going to be Kenny Clark. So let's look at defensive tackle. What does it look like? TJ Parker out of Clemson, number 3. Peter Woods, number 9. He was out of Clemson as well. Keldrick Falk, defensive lineman out of Auburn in the 13 spot. Caleb Banks out of Florida in the 18 spot. Kristen Miller, defensive lineman out of Georgia in the 33 spot. So those are your first round graded defensive tackles.
Peter Woods crushing it for me in college football. Crushing it. My man he is an inside zone stuffer, let me tell you.
That's what the people want to know. That's what they want to know.
That's exactly what they want to know. Jacob, you always talk about this, Jacob, every draft season, right? Isn't it wild how you've always got multiples at specific programs in the same position group, right? Like TJ Parker, Peter Woods playing right next to each other. You got Caleb Banks and Tyreek Sapp out of Florida playing right next to each other.
Even look down at DeMonte Capehart at Clemson. Like, that's crazy, dude. That rotation, oof.
And people will say, well, he's in the 73 spot. He peaked at 8th. At one point, he was seen as the top 10 type talent. So pretty wild. What's another? We talked about cornerback, right? That Jair may be gone. If that's the case, you got Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee in the 15 spot. Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. Another Clemson guy. Wow. This seems like the Ole Miss of next year's draft, right? He's in the 20 spot. Then you got Malik Muhammad, cornerback out of Texas in the 29 spot. He peaked at number 9. Then you got A.J. Harris out of Penn State in the 32 spot. So that's how the cornerback room is kind of shaken out right now in terms of the 2026 NFL draft. So what do you guys think will be – let's hit one more position before we move on to the next topic. What do you guys think would be the next position you go? That's probably where we need to look. What comes to mind for you?
I'd say maybe running back or linebacker.
Linebacker, maybe. You'd have Edgerrin Cooper. Will Quay be here? That's the question, right? When you look at linebacker, you got Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas in the 14 spot. So there's only one linebacker with a first-round grade on. So for me, I'm thinking like maybe offensive line. We're talking about all these, would Elton be back or not? When you look at the interior offensive line, you have nobody in the first round, but the first one coming in at Ahmad Reed Adams, interior offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. If you go to tackle, which we have consistently tried to convert tackles to guards here lately, Caden Proctor in the 5 spot out of Bama, Francis Muagoa in the 10 spot out of Miami, Spencer Fano in the 12 spot out of Utah, Isaiah World out of Oregon in the 16 spot, Caleb Lomu in the 27 spot out of Utah, and those are your guys there. You got Charles Jagat out of Notre Dame coming in at the 55 spot. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just going to say I hate to give any credence to it because I don't agree with the sentiment that LVN is going to be busting out like Respect Orange just says. But if he does, And if Rashawn Gary, for whatever reason, is too old or getting up there and he doesn't have a great season, if Brenton Cox ain't absolutely shooting, you know what I mean? What do we? Edge actually could be, it could be a need. So can we look at Edge maybe?
Yeah, sure, Jacob. If that's
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
It's Friday night.
That's all he's got. It's Friday night. Everybody in the chat's asking for long snapper. Let's hit it, boys. 379. Jake Eldridge out of Rutgers. We got Trey Dubbick in the 388 spot out of South Florida. And listen, boys, you got Ryder Burns. I hardly know. 389 out of Southern Miss. And then this guy right here, you might want to spend a 7th round pick on. He may not be there when you pick in the 7th round or in the 6th round. Or when you go to sign an undrafted free agent, he may not be there. You may want to pull the trigger in the 7th round. You got Lance St. Louis out of Texas in the 561.
I see. That's why I need to get him on the board, because sooner or later they're going to be off. They're going to be off before the 26 season starts.
So true. All right, that's it. That's all I got. We're done with the draft. Okay. Again, just want to take a quick glance. I love college football. It's coming up right around the corner. You got summer camps are going to be kicking off, and it's just a lot of fun, kind of getting to know some of those names. And I think we would all agree. You look at those names, you know a few of the quarterbacks. I know a few of the Irish and the Tennessee guys, but you look up and go, who the hell are these guys? The reality is there's going to be a handful of those dudes that end up being absolute superstars in the NFL that we're going to be like, I remember when we covered that. So,
right.
All right. Let's talk about this rule change real quick. I go with you guys. Potential rule change. Also.
Yes.
Jacob, you got to stop looking at the
Jacob
chat.
is just off the rails. This is what happens.
What's new, right? All right. So I want you guys to help me with this chat. You all always do a great job explaining stuff to my dumb redneck self. So here's what Ari Miroff pointed out about the NFL owners are going to do a vote next week. Okay. Significant NFL owners will vote next week on a proposal to change the playoff seeding format, where teams would be seeded strictly by regular season record rather than automatically awarding the top 4 seeds to division winners. This was per Albert Breer. All right. So here's some more details on it. If teams have the same record, a division title would serve as the first tiebreaker, not head to head. All right. After the first round, teams would be reseeded, so the number 1 seed always plays the lowest remaining seed. And then the other point here is the NFL wants to increase late season competitiveness and excitement and reduce teams resting starters in week 17 and 18. I love that last part. If that's the ultimate goal, great. I want to get your all's take on it, because the big argument's been if somebody plays in a weak division and they win that division, then they're going to get a first round. Do they get a first round bye now? They definitely get the host.
Yeah.
It's not a first round bye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll get the host that playoff game. I can kind of see the argument of, listen, just because you played in a weak division doesn't mean you should get, special treatment over someone who had a much better record. Am I wrong there, or do you guys see that the same way?
I do kind of like it, but then the whole thing of after the first round, teams would be reseeded, so the number 1 seed always
That's the
plays
weird
the
part,
lowest.
right?
That's the one where it's like, I look at the third bullet point, and the NFL wants to increase late season competitiveness. I like that. I don't understand how the second bullet point gets you to the third. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. It's like, yeah, the Saints went 8-8. They won their division. Congrats. You get to host a first, playoff home. I get that we don't necessarily want that. I'm glad that Greg Rice, whoever highlighted that, thank you, because that's one I wanted to bring up too.
Yes.
To me, I would just leave it alone. I feel like lately we've made so many, I feel like, major NFL tweaks in the last 10 years that it's starting to kind of like, how do you start keeping stats? How do you start comparing guys from, you know what I mean? It's a totally different ball game now. It really is. I'm get off my lawn. I'm the old guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm standing on your lawn, Jacob. To the second bullet point question.
You got to cut it somehow, Emilio.
Hey, I'm pretty good at it. I'll cut the grass. But it isn't number 2 already happening anyway? Like, doesn't 1 always play 7, or one would play 5 if they go on and win it? Is it like
technically, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Like I thought I was the only one that was losing my mind here. Like, let's think about this. The way the playoffs are set up right now, the lowest, the the highest seed always plays the lowest, right? That's how it's set up.
First one gets a bye, 2 plays 7.
So after the first round, teams would be reseeded. So the number 1 seed always plays the lowest remaining seed. That's how it is, right? Well,
But do they mean by number 1 the highest ranked person in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, let's say
Well, no, but the number 1 would have already had a bye, is what I'm saying. Say you went 15-1, you would have already had the bye. You're already into the second round, and then you're reseeding everybody else that got through, but you already had a seed for them beforehand.
Yeah,
I'm with you. That second part went way over my head. I don't know.
I think it's a double negative sort of thing.
So Brambo says they reseed based on record. Is that what they're saying there?
So it's not the initial ranking of the.
If that's the
ranking.
case, Brambo, and you may be correct, this is poorly worded by Ari Miroff, right?
Right. Yeah.
Again, I think the most important aspect of this, I don't want to get too far into the weeds or bogged down by it too much, but to me, the most important part is I like that it's not about just winning the division, right? Now, I love that the tiebreaker comes in. Like, hey, if you got 2 teams with the same record, the one who won their division deserves to be the higher seed. I get that, right? So I kind of like what they're trying to do here, man, for sure. Now, here's the other thing, and we'll go ahead and hit it since we marked it here, Jacob. Greg Rice says no draft lottery either. Man, that draft lottery talk is strange. It is so strange. The NFL is king for a reason. The NFL smokes the NBA's ass in ratings and everything they do.
When Ryan said those numbers today, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I was shocked.
So, and listen, we got to meet Greeny, right? We got to meet Mike Greenberg at the restaurant, right? Talk to him and Peter Schrager for a second. I think Greeny is an awesome dude. When I heard that video that Ryan played or audio that Ryan played on his podcast, I wanted to slap the taste out of his mouth. I'm like, there's nothing about what you're saying that makes sense. Right? Jacob, did you hear that pod by chance?
Yes, I did. 100%.
It's insane. Like, you're basically saying the first overall pick should go to someone with the luck of the draw of a ping pong ball.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? The reason the NFL is so good at parity is because every single year, the worst team in the league is kind of propped up to go, okay, we're going to help you build your team faster than everybody else. And that's why you got like the Dolphins way back now. What was it, 2010, where the Dolphins were the worst team in the league, and the very next year they won their division? That's how these teams can have a quick turnaround. If you get to the point where it's okay, we're going to take the top 10 or top 5 worst teams, and then we'll put ping pong balls in, and we'll see who gets the luck of the draw. It literally, as Ryan was talking about it, I try to be like rational about things. I try to be like, maybe what am I missing here? Because I'm stupid. I'm a dumb redneck hick. Things go over my head all the time, and I'm going, what's the there is nothing positive that comes out of this. And what it seems like to me is everybody who loves the NBA, it's like they try to prop that up and make it seem as if the NFL should take things from it. And that's the farthest freaking thing from the truth, in my opinion. So what's your all's take on it? Because I'm not going to lie, man, it kind of pissed me off. Like, y'all better not screw this up.
Yeah. It made me physically angry because they're like, yeah, we want to copy what the NBA is doing. What the NBA that's losing viewership faster than you can even shake a stick at, because one, they're putting their primetime games on networks that nobody has or they don't know where to find them. A la what has the NFL done in the last 5 years? They spread it out to like 7 different networks, so you got to have a subscription to watch every game. That's real smart. Then what are they going to do? The NBA took the physicalness out of it. You watch LeBron James flop like a fish anytime somebody touches his little tiny bald head and he hits the ground.
I thought he was going to say something else there. Oh Lord, go ahead.
And what's the next thing they do? They want to take the draft. Let's have ping pong balls do that. Why what are you doing? The next thing they're going to do is they're going to say, let's start making so we have all-star teams like the Lakers. Let's just have everybody go to the Patriots. We'll have everybody go there. We can sign them out the wazoo. It won't even be fun to watch football anymore. And great, yeah, it'll be awesome. It's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of.
It really is, man. It's like it made no sense, Emilio.
Yeah, I mean, you put a little bit of lead in that one ping pong ball that you want to end at the bottom, and we're good to go. You roll that thing a couple times, wait for it, open the hatch, and we're good to go. I'll take the pay.
Emilio, I'm not bald. Record.
Look at Jacob. My man.
That's
You got a
icy.
little, you got a little salt up there, though, don't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks a little. Why don't
Oh,
you go
she's
have
just
it more
alive.
often?
Might be the
Jake?
light.
That's
Might be the
She's
light.
gray, baby, but she still plays.
No, but I mean for real, that's brutal. That what Ryan was saying is true, man. Every time you hear somebody complain about NBA, it's people that like watching NBA and they're just mad at what they're getting. I mean, I think that what they've done, the amount of work that they put into just to be able to get the last team, the worst team, even if you have 5 teams that are the same record, we're going to go by your point differential. We're going to go by, whatever we can narrow it down to find out, like, you were basically the worst team possible last year. How can we help you? Hey, you get a chance to get Travis Hunter or Abdul or, the number 1 quarterback because you were 3-15 last year. So like, I mean, I don't see why switching it to a lottery where potentially the Philly can go ahead and just get the first or third pick, whatever it is, however it works. I don't like it.
I don't need 2-0 for this. Says that dude just kept repeating tanking as if he was trying to play some psychological game to make us believe it's a thing. That's the thing too, is like tanking in the NFL is not a thing. It's not. When was the last time a team tanked for the first pick? And show me proof of it. Because I remember back when the Giants were thinking about sitting their starters going in the playoffs, which that happens pretty regularly now. But I remember when it was Tom Coughlin said, we're playing our guys. And they went out and played their guys, even though they had nothing to gain for week 17. Back then, there was only 17 weeks. Week 17, they had nothing to gain. And he said he got a phone call from John Madden, a voicemail from John Madden. Coach Madden called him and was like, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you guys. Thank you so much. The second that we don't have competition, we don't have a game anymore.
Yep.
And now we're talking about a damn ping pong ball floating around in a machine, and that's going to decide who gets the first overall pick. Like, what are you even? It makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. 2-0 for this, says Jacob has the Kimbo slice. Love it. Little shout out there to Kimbo. Rest in peace. Brambo says, how do you look like Clayton's older brother and his younger brother at the same time? Put that hat on.
Okay.
Okay. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just it's really strange. Like, I remember the tank for Tua talk, right? That was the whole thing. Tank for Tua, tank for Tua. I don't know. It's not an issue. If a team is that bad, if 2 teams are that bad and they want to tank for a player, I could give a rat's. And nobody's worried about that anyway, right? I don't think it's happening personally. But if it does, who cares? I'll tell you what, I'm okay with that. Let's play along with Greeny. Let's pretend like tanking does happen for the number 1 overall pick. Okay, awesome, cool. I would much rather watch 2 teams flop around on the field and act like a couple jackasses and get a good laugh out of it than to see us try to build up this big event as if we're going to put 5 ping pong balls in a machine, spin that sucker around and go, woo, we got the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Stupidest thing.
Yeah.
So, and again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The NFL is king for a freaking reason. Keep it the same.
Just imagine the audacity of, all right, we're going to the draft night. Everybody's watching. They got their popcorn. And with the first pick, the ping pong tells me the Philadelphia Eagles get the first pick in the NFL draft. It's like, what are you talking that's what's about? Fair? Bruh, whatever you're smoking, Emilio wants a lot of it.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
2-0 for this says, when was the last time a number 1 pick legit changed a franchise that is perennial at the top of the draft? Exactly. It's a great point. Great point. Let's see here. Draft. I think J. Cole said this a couple times here. Draft lottery is rigged. Dallas trades their star player and has like a 1% chance to get the first pick, and now they are picking number 1.
Oh, you guys, if we had the conspiracy music, this would be the time. You can look back now the last 7, I believe it's the last 6 or 7 years, every single major signing that went to the big teams, whether it was like Bosch, that's not the same thing, but it still works. When it was LeBron, when it was Luka, when it was all these guys, enter the guy there, that team the next year had the number 1 pick in the draft. And like J. Cole said, it was like a minus 5% chance it would happen.
Crushed it.
Match that.
Minus 5% chance. That is unbelievable to think, though. Like, you go ahead and you trade their star player, 1% chance is always going to land on the 1%, right? It's never going to be. That's like when you're opening a pack. They convince you, Clay, to buy the pack to make your team better. Right. It's like, oh, you got a 55% chance to get a 98, bro. I got a 92 out of that pack. What are we doing here? Like, and that's I mean that's what it is. It's like it seems like we're chasing after that, buy to play, pay to play, pay to win sort of mentality. We don't need that in sports.
I just realized Mandy and I just celebrated our 19th anniversary. And the only regret that I have with our marriage is that we didn't have our first dance to the Home Depot theme song. I'm just telling you right now. That song is a banger, dude. Is it not a banger, man?
It really is.
Yeah. Loki, I'm pretty proud that we actually cut that the way we just did there, because if that's not going on the YouTubes, I don't know what is.
Well, that'll probably get us canceled, to be honest with you. That's usually how that works. I told y'all, either they're going to sponsor the show or I'm going to get sued. One of the two, nothing in between. So,
sponsor the show.
All right. Anything else we want to hit on, boys? Anything else?
Shows tomorrow.
Greg Ross says remove the garter to the Home Depot theme song. Anyway, go ahead, Jacob.
Are you doing a morning show by chance, or are we just doing an evening show tomorrow?
It'll just be an evening show tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
With the lack of content right now. So, but Jacob, what we'll do, since you're going to be in here with me and Emilio's taking the weekend off, we're going to do the Baron Sorrell Chalk Talk tomorrow.
Oh,
let's dive into it.
So just a heads up, guys, that means if you do not have a Rumble account, go ahead and create one tonight. Go find the Packers Total Access account, which is, by the way, the #1 Packers account on Rumble right now, which is pretty impressive, because tomorrow we are going to be doing a Chalk Talk, which means we can't do it on YouTube because they are commies.
There you go. Well, I don't know about that last part. I said, there you go.
On my knee.
We're going to give him some.
We respectfully disagree there, Jacob, okay? So, all right, here's
hopefully you have subscribers and a channel tomorrow, and
hopefully everything's still intact tomorrow. Now, what we're going to do, though, we'll be live on YouTube, we'll be live on X, Rumble, everything like we normally are. And then when we get ready to do the Chalk Talk, like Jacob was saying, we'll give you guys a good 10-minute heads up. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get over to Rumble. Let's get over to X, whichever one you prefer. And we'll continue with the Chalk Talk. And what I'll do later, here's what's crazy about this whole situation. Afterwards, I can edit that video out of the download, and I can do a quick little copyright check, and then we can upload it to YouTube, no problem.
Bang.
The problem is their AI detects stuff.
They did that to us. Yeah.
On the live stream, they detect stuff on the live stream, and once they trigger the copyright and somebody claims it, you're screwed. It's just really weird. And again, it's just lack of communication. So 2-0 for this says y'all should be sponsored by farmersonly.com. So there you go. You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
Emilio, are you too young to remember that?
That's a yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean I remember it, but yeah, didn't. AOL. You've got mail is kind of where I was.
All right.
We're out of here, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us again. I'm excited about the partnership with Mac, and
Absolutely.
We're gonna, like I said, get that cranked up. And everybody, if you want to support a great cause, and it looks like we got multiple people in there now. Appreciate Kyle Bessa, and Bates. Everybody, let's get that cranked up. I'm gonna make my donation here over the weekend. Talk with Mandy, and we're gonna try to do something to help out there as well. It's just a really awesome organization. Got a bunch of giveaways coming up. Tomorrow, remind me, Jacob, we'll do an autographed Dontavion Wicks jersey giveaway for our Patreon community.
Nice.
Okay? This giveaway is going to be for the Patreon community. So if you're hearing my voice, you want to support the show, scan that QR code in the upper right, or go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, okay? You join there, the cheap $3 tier. That gets you access to everything on the site, exclusive content from us. The Chalk Talks are all uploaded there. But more importantly, it also gets you put into the giveaways. We'll take everybody who's at least a $3 tier member, put them on the wheel tomorrow night, spin that sucker, and give away an autographed Dontavion Wicks jersey to whoever's name it lands on. All right?
Took it down.
And me and Emilio are eligible.
We are eligible. No, we are 100% eligible. Every time Clayton tries to say we're not eligible is incorrect.
Correct. Listen, this is not a democracy here, okay?
I'll get a lawyer.
No, that thing lands on my name. I'm driving up there and taking my jersey.
Jacob, you didn't pay your last lawyer. All right, I ain't trying to hear that.
I'm well versed in bird law.
Hey,
I don't want to know what that means.
Chat will.
I'm sure they will. A bunch of degenerates.
Jacob knows that birds recharge on the telephone wires. That's why they have to land there.
Here in
Birds
Boston,
aren't real.
Connor talking about that on McAfee show. It's unbelievable, man. Just saying. All
Oh
right.
boy.
All right, we good? Are we good? Did we lose all credibility here in the last 10 minutes? Are y'all
This
happy
show
now? We good?
sucks.
It sucks bad. So anyway, everybody have a great night. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world and go Pack.
And we go.
We out.
Bye, guys.